Welcome to the Sparks of Hope Shooting for Success Summit. You will discover innovative talks for personal and business expansion with leading experts. Today, be ready to be infused with hope, strength, and confidence, and find powerful direction to lead you on a path of success. Join our 21 world-class speakers and experience inspiration, hope for your future, and an elevation of your desires. Inspired Choices Network, our summit hosts, are excited to have you here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Juli Madacey. I am a master health coach, a menopause coaching specialist, a personal trainer, and a holistic health practitioner. I am super excited to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart. But before I dive in, I want to clear the air with 5 key truths that will reshape the way you think about menopause. Number 1, menopause is not a dirty word. We speak about it with such shame, and it stays in the shadows, and it's something that needs to come out of the shadows because it is a fact of life. It's not a condition that we have to whisper about. Number 2, menopause is not for old women. It may surprise you to learn just how young the menopause phase of life starts. Did you know that you can begin as early as your 30s to see symptoms, and it lasts for up to a third of your lifespan? So this is not about being old. This is about living vibrantly. Number 3, menopause will affect virtually everyone. Unless you are a monk living on a mountaintop who's never seen a female human being in your life, menopause will affect you. If you have or have ever had functioning ovaries, you will experience menopause. If you don't have or have never had functioning ovaries, you will be related to, associated with, or know someone who has or has had functioning ovaries and will experience menopause, and it will affect your life as well. Number 4, menopause is not a health condition. This is a pivotal life phase. It's at least as important when we talk about adolescence and puberty and childbearing years. Menopause is very, very important in our lifespan. And number 5, menopause's impact is so far-reaching. It may surprise you. It isn't just about women's health. It's about relationships, and it even has an impact on the global economy. And this isn't drama. This is fact. There is data to back this. There are data to back this up. Do you remember when you were going into puberty and you had the talk? I mean, think about it. We had nurses or health classes in school, or parents or someone who gave us that talk to explain what was going to happen with our bodies. When you get into your childbearing years and you're thinking about fertility and pregnancy and childbearing, there are classes and educational sessions and tons of resources that guide you through that process and explain what's going to happen. Even after a baby is born, we have tons of information about child development and parenting courses. When it comes to menopause, radio silence. So why is that? The truth is that I've heard all the cliches and the funny jokes about menopause, but there's such a lack of preparation. A lot of it is because doctors don't even understand this phase of life. It's so far-reaching and so different for every single person who goes through it. And I was like that for me when I had my first real menopause experience. Wow. Let me just say, I had moved to Italy about 3 months before my 50th birthday. And we took 2 weeks after my birthday, we took a trip with a group of expats into the Italian Alps, just north of Turin, where the 2006 Winter Olympics were held. I was so excited. I left my 25-year corporate HR career behind. I was time to reinvent myself, little did I know. And we went on this fantastic trip. And we got up to we had to actually take either a chairlift or a snowcat just to get to our hotel. It was so far up the mountain. I don't remember the elevation, but partway through that first day, we took the snowcat down partway the mountain to have dinner at this restaurant. It was, again, stunning. It was like living in a dream. the rustic beams, this massive stone fireplace with a crackling fire, and a group of people I really enjoyed being with, fantastic food and wine. And I was about halfway through my first course when I just had this sense of foreboding wash over me. And I thought, this is strange. And within seconds, while I've never experienced a panic attack, the closest I can think of that it would feel like, I started to have this anxiety. My heart was beating faster. I was short of breath. I suddenly just felt like, oh my gosh, what's happening? I thought maybe I was having a heart attack. And then, starting in my toes, the heat rose up my body. I felt like a cartoon thermometer. And by the time it got up to my chest, I thought, before my head explodes, I got to get out of here. And I jumped up and I ran to the front door of the restaurant, peeling clothes off as I went. And as I was standing outside the restaurant in the snow, in my camisole top and my jeans, Italians were coming into the restaurant looking at me like I was some alien being. And I looked at my hand, and suddenly I was holding 3 layers of clothes in my hand thinking, what happened? And I turned around and some of the other expat women came out behind me, and one lady put her arm around my shoulders and said, honey, I know exactly what you're going through. And I just looked at her with this pleading look on my face saying, I don't know what's happening to me. That was my experience with menopause. Nobody explained any of this. So we had a 5-minute crash course from the women expats who'd experienced it. And I got myself finished with the steam rising off of me like a locomotive. And once the sweat stopped pouring down my face, I dressed again and went back inside and got on with my day. And I just sat there at the table dumbfounded thinking, menopause? I'm only 50. Isn't that for old women? So it made me understand that experience in retrospect, of course, how much of what we experience in life depends on our perceptions and the frameworks and support we have in place or don't have in place for dealing with them. And it just drove me to want to help women not have that same experience. So fast forward to today, multiple certifications later, and I have dedicated myself to supporting women through this pivotal life phase so that they can not just survive it, but also thrive through it. Because isn't that what life is about? And again, if someone handed you a third of your life, wouldn't you want to make the most of it? So I've developed a 4-pillar framework that I use when I work with my clients. And I like to keep things simple. So the pillars are think, eat, move, and live. The first pillar, think, is all about our mindset. And the truth is, our thoughts have a great influence on how we experience things. They frame the lens from which we view the things that happen in our lives and the way we experience them. So when we understand how to adopt a different kind of mindset, think about things in a different way, it really alters our journey and it will help turn those challenges into some opportunities for growth. Eat, obviously, hopefully by now you know that nutrition is really important. What we absorb from what we put into our bodies, whether that's food or drink or things we put on our skin, that will have, again, a massive effect on how you experience menopause. There are some foods that are supportive of menopause. There are some foods that aren't. And that's really true for health in general. The move pillar is something that a lot of us ignore. We don't have time to exercise. Oh, I don't want to go to the gym and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Movement is so crucial for our bodies, and our bodies were designed for movement. And we tend to sit all day at our desks or sit in front of the TV. We sit in the car to commute to work. So learning how to move your body in a different way in this phase of life will support bone health, muscular strength, flexibility, mobility, balance, all kinds of different things. The live pillar is about how we experience our life. It's about stress management. It's about getting restful sleep. It's about relationships that we have. And it's about our careers and our professional lives, because again, that's a big chunk of our day, of our lives. And we need to understand how to have more menopause friendly workplaces. We've made some progress with maternity policies and pregnancy support for women in women's health, but there's very little, and I've done a lot of research on this, there are very few companies who actually have programs that support women's health through menopause. So these pillars form a holistic and comprehensive approach to managing menopause. And I'll start by going through them one-on-one. I think in the meantime, I invite you to think about how these different things affect your life, how these different things affect your experience. And again, even if you don't think you're in menopause yet, this is already affecting your life. And just to clear up any misconceptions about menopause, it is one day. Menopause is the 365th day that you go without a menstrual cycle. Everything before that is premenopause or perimenopause. Everything after that is postmenopause. And our bodies will change through that entire period. So we are dealing with a lot of things at that point. And this is why it's so important to understand it, because if you're not fully there yet, you can change the way that experience will be for you by preparing yourself. If you're in the midst of it or past the menopause day, it also will have a way you can manage your vibrant health and longevity in the way you experience the rest of your life. Because it's a time when we get to look at all the things we said we wanted to do someday. So let's start with think. This pillar, as I said, is all about mindset, and it's a crucial piece of this, and it's usually clouded by the myths and misconceptions that I've already talked about. When you are willing to talk about this, when you are willing to bring it out into the open and be real about it, instead of feeling that sense of shame, instead of feeling that sense of insecurity, instead of feeling that sense of confusion about all of these things that your body is going through, when you can work on the way you're approaching it. One of the things I love to do with my clients is create a menopause vision statement. And that vision statement talks about, what would I love to get out of this phase of my life? How do I want to experience it? What are the things I can do to support myself mentally, physically, emotionally, socially, and career-wise, professionally, in order to make this phase of my life something that I enjoy being in? If we don't address these things now, we are risking the lives of millions of women, and we are also making an impression on our children and future generations as to where this goes. It's up to us to become our own advocates. So when we can develop a more positive perspective about menopause and what it means for us, it allows us to go out into professional spaces and create policies and create workspaces that allow us to continue to thrive in this part of life. And something that's really interesting, there's research that was done by the Mayo Clinic that shows what a global economic impact in North America alone of $1.8 billion per year from lost productivity, medical costs, women leaving their careers and leaving behind income that they could otherwise be injecting back into the economy, along with many other things. $1.8 billion in North America alone. I'd say that's pretty substantial. So it's worth exploring the idea and the opportunity to create more menopause-friendly workplaces, because for every woman who gets promoted to director level at this phase of life, 2 are leaving. And that's leaving brain power and experience and wisdom and skill and all of the things that could be contributing to our society behind. And that is completely unacceptable. So what I would encourage you to do is think about your menopause vision statement. How is it that you want to experience this phase of your life? How can you influence your workplace? And how can you start to help create some of these policies that we so desperately need? The eat pillar. This is one of my favorites, because who doesn't like to eat? I love to eat. Food will be supportive of your health or not supportive of your health. In this day and age, we live on processed foods, fast foods. We grab food on the fly. We don't think very much about what it's doing to our body. And especially, again, in menopause, there are certain foods that can trigger menopause symptoms and make them worse. It isn't about deprivation and eliminating our favorite foods, but it is about paying more attention to what they actually do with our body. How do you feel when you eat certain foods? Some of the more common triggers of menopause symptoms: caffeine, sugar, alcohol. And at this phase in life, of course, we want to go out for a glass of wine with our friends. We want to sit down and have that chocolate that we love so much. We want to have that cup of coffee or the mocha frappe, whatever it is, in the morning. But those are the things that are going to increase the intensity of all of those symptoms, affect your sleep, affect your ability to not gain the weight that we tend to gain during menopause, and it will make it frustrating for you to manage this part of your journey. So learning how to eat in a way that supports your body, eating more whole foods, eliminating some of those other things that are processed and contain a lot of sugar. Alcohol is okay, but understanding how it makes your body feel is a lot easier when you leave it aside for a couple of weeks and then maybe reintroduce it and see how it makes you feel, see how it affects your sleep, see how it affects your symptoms. So we have a lot of control. And planning meals ahead, we're all busy. We all say, I don't have time to cook. I understand that. But planning ahead will make that so much easier for you. And planning doesn't have to be complicated. Keep it simple. Remember, think, eat, move, live. Keep it simple. And that brings us to the move pillar. The move pillar, again, we need a different kind of exercise. There's no more balls to the wall, work out till you drop in a pool of sweat kind of workouts. Those aren't good for our bodies anymore. But we do need to strength train. We need to preserve our muscle mass because it decreases as we age. We need to preserve our bone density so we don't end up with osteopenia, osteoporosis, and strength training or weight-bearing exercise is the best way to do that. And our bodies were made for movement, so find ways to move that you enjoy. Again, this doesn't have to be one of those massive sweat-inducing pumping iron workouts if you don't enjoy that kind of thing. If you do, more power to you. But you can dance, you can do yoga, Pilates, cycling, tennis, hiking, gardening, anything that brings you joy and makes your body want to move. And of course, when your eat pillar is in a good space, it makes the move pillar a bit easier. The other thing to remember is that we don't stop moving because we get older. We get older because we stop moving. We can keep ourselves feeling energetic and youthful. It contributes to better sleep. It helps manage your menopause symptoms when you move your body in a way that feels good and that is supportive of this phase of life. And the live pillar. The live pillar, we need to work very hard on this one. Stress is one of the biggest factors in our health. If we could change one thing only, I would say make it managing your stress. It changes the way you experience your life. It changes the way you experience your relationships. It changes the way you experience your family, your career, everything that you do. And that is easier said than done, I understand, especially this phase of life, again, because we have so many competing demands. Our bodies are changing in ways we don't understand. We look in the mirror and think, when did that start? And we don't understand how we have to do all of these things that are expected of us in our career, and then manage a family and a household, and maybe aging parents, maybe kids that are still growing or grandkids. And we leave so little time for ourselves that we have nothing left to give. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but I promise you that when you carve out space for self-care, that becomes your health care. That self-care time will make you more available, more energized, and have more in the tank to give all of the people who matter to you the best part of you rather than what's left of you. And we need to do that because it isn't selfish. It's actually our most important responsibility. Who else is going to take care of us? Nobody else can do this for us. And this isn't a judgment, because this is something I still battle with today. Even knowing all of these things, I find that I have to have a reality check every so often, because all of that mission creep can come from all of these other parts of our lives. So taking that time for yourself and being able to unwind, decompress, relax, whether that's spending 5 minutes focused on your breath, spending 5 or 10 minutes going for a leisurely walk, reading, taking a bath, anything that makes you feel good. And of course, if you can treat yourself to some pampering, that's even better. But stress management is probably your number one focus, because it will affect how everything else falls into place. I mean, who doesn't want to reach for comfort food when they're stressed, right? Advocate, again, when we're talking about stress in life, advocating for menopause friendly policies in your workspace, your workplace, is going to be critical. If we don't do it, who will? We are not, most corporate policies are created as if we are just small men, and we are not. Healthcare recommendations and training recommendations are often created as if we are just miniature versions of men, and we are not. We have so many different complicated hormones going on in our body, many more than men do. And so at this phase of our life, things are seriously in a roller coaster all over the place. So being able to get more flexible work opportunities, being able to have the ability to take the time you need to look after yourself, having a focus on women's health at this phase of your career is going to be crucial. We don't have to discuss all the ins and outs of menopause. We don't necessarily have to share all the symptoms we're experiencing and those kinds of things, but there is a way to do it, to get support. And that's part of my mission as well, because it's just so important. When I see women going through this and in tears and feeling like they're at the end of their rope, like they're losing their minds, you are not losing your mind. There are things going on in your body that may feel unfamiliar, but you are not losing your mind. It's 100% okay to experience those things, to sense into them, to experience the emotions, but becoming aware of what's happening in your body is a really good step forward into being able to deal with it in a way that supports you. Because again, there's no one size fits all solution to this. Every single woman is going to experience menopause differently. And that's one of the reasons why it's so difficult for doctors to deal with. A startling statistic I read was 73% of women never discuss menopause with their doctors. 73%. That's huge. And doctors, again, aren't equipped, because so many of the symptoms can be nebulous or strange, or maybe don't seem like they're related to menopause. Things like changes to your skin, itching, changes to the texture of your hair, and your nails. I even remember I found it difficult to swallow my supplements because things were changing in my throat. We have changes in our lubrication and in our vagina, and things will shrink and dry. We may need extra care when we have intimate relationships. And we have all these changes feeling like, oh my gosh. But the truth is, there is a lot of hope here. We have more control over this phase of our lives than we think we do. And I invite you to explore what that might look like for you. Invite hope, invite community, connect with other women, look for coaches like myself who can help support this part of your journey. I would love to connect with you. You can reach me via email at juli@evexiahealth.com. My contact information is in my profile. I would love to have a conversation. Your health and your future is important to me. I think that together we can lead the transformation in the workplace and in life, and make sure that menopause is recognized not as an end, but as a really powerful beginning, because that's exactly what it is and what it's meant to be. So what will your life
Thank you for joining this motivating talk on the Sparks of Hope Shooting for Success Summit. Inspired Choices Network and our expert speakers are excited to connect with you and learn about your hopes and desires to lead you to greater success. If you would like to learn more about everything Inspired Choices Network offers, including future summits, please email us at info@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.